Hey there, this is Michael with Buffalo Finances, and it's the year 2025, and I'm hoping that yours has gone well, has started off well. This is a great opportunity for me to share what I'm doing. It keeps me accountable, and hopefully it helps you out in the future, whether you're somebody that knows me personally or has just kind of found me on the internet. I'd like to give you some value. So my name is Michael. I'm a certified public accountant. I'm an entrepreneur. I own one business now. I just sold my dumpster rental company. I did have two businesses, and I operated that for over 4 years, 4.5 years, and I loved it. It was wonderful. And now I've sold that so I can focus on just the finance business. I own Buffalo Finances, and that's been a blast. We've been building that over the last 2 years. We got about, 800 customers now, probably growing more and more. And we're about to enter our tax season. So a lot of people are asking me for assistance, tax planning, tax estimates, and we also offer a bunch of services related to that. So that's kind of how I help people, at least in the financial realm. So it's what I've been training my whole life for. I'm in my 40s now. I'm 41, and I've been a certified public accountant for almost 20 years. And I've been around money a lot. So I started with nothing. I started on a dairy farm. Love being in the country, being with animals, but we never figured out how to make money at that. So I had to move on from the family business and do something that was different. And I ended up in always liked the business world. So but I gravitated towards accounting. Now I've got all this experience working in a lot of blue collar industries primarily. Really like the blue collar world. So I would love to help out more waste haulers because I understand that business really, really well. I know what keeps you up at night because I did the same thing. Trucks are always broken. How do you make sure you have enough containers? How do you make sure the containers are actually deployed once you have them? Do you pay for things with debt? Once you have debt, what is too much? What's too little? How do you keep employees engaged? How do you answer the phone? How do you manage all the different pieces? We got to about 2 million in revenue. We're at 2 million in revenue when I sold, and we did that with a team of 6 people. I guess 7 if you count myself. So you can get pretty big with just a few people. We had 200 dumpsters, and that was great. I would have kept going, except that to get bigger, you need to buy more equipment. Like when you're an equipment-based company, if you want to grow, you have to get more equipment. Or find some other ways to leverage your market share. And I saw that I would have to either take on capital or take on investments, and I just didn't want to take outside money. I didn't want to do that. I've already been very, very content with where I'm at, and that's one of my core beliefs is that contentment is the key to financial wealth. I've read a lot of financial books, and that is what I keep coming to the conclusion of. My favorite book is the Bible, and that's exactly what the Bible says. In Luke 6:38, it says, "Give, and it will be given unto you." So if you're content enough and you can actually give to other people, you'll get more than you could ever possibly need. So I'm just kind of sharing some random things because I don't have a set agenda yet. I probably should get into a set agenda, but maybe I'll start with my goals for 2025, and what I'm doing now is I'm reviewing my goals every day, several times a day. My first goal is to impress my lifelong hero, John Cooper from the band Skillet. Skillet rocks, and they've been rocking for almost 30 years now, which is amazing. I listened to them when I was a teenager, and now my teenage girls listen to them, and they love their songs. They keep releasing new albums. They just released a new album called Revolution, and we are really enjoying Unpopular and All That Matters and Ash in the Wind, and it's a great album. The newest album is awesome. I love all the albums. We all have our favorites. There's one particular that I really listened to a lot when I first got into college, Alien Youth, and I don't think that was very popular, but I loved it. I liked singing about how we don't belong here, and we're taking over the world, the alien youth. So this isn't our home, we're aliens here, and that's great as Christians. But that's probably, if you're not a Christian, I would love for you to lean more into the Bible and learn more about Jesus' story. I really believe that stories are the only thing that's going to last. 1,000 years from now, no one's going to know who I am. But the stories that I participate in, that will carry on. So my North Star would be helping people with finances. One of my passions is that I believe there will be Christians on Mars someday, and I want to be part of that legacy. And so I really believe in investing in the next generation. So through teaching, mentoring, that's the way to do it, I believe. Giving stuff to the next generation is not going to help them because it's going to spoil them. So I believe in education, and I want to do more of that. And part of that it leads to one of my other goals, which is to read a book per week, every single week this year. Love Jim Quick. He taught me how to read fast through his program, Quick Reading, Quick Learning, Quick Reading, I believe is what it is. And I really love just enjoying. I enjoy reading. I always have, but going through it fast is way more fun. So I just got done with several books. The first one I'm going to share with you, book of the week, will be the one that I read for the first of the year, and that's going to be this one right here. So this is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He's great. I am learning tons of things from him because after reading the book, I got engaged with his content and his coaching, and so I'm learning skills from him directly. And the concept of the book is that you, as a business owner, your time is the most valuable resource. It's the most valuable resource you have. And so you should spend money to hire people to get time back. And that's how you should build a business. So I'll talk more about that later. It's one of my goals. I don't have my goals memorized. What the heck? I want to have a really good physique because I think that's a good model of making sure that you're healthy. So I'm exercising every single day starting now, and that's my New Year's resolution. And I need to keep that going even past Quitter's Day. January 10th this year is Quitter's Day. So I don't want to quit on Quitter's Day. I want to keep going. And it's called Quitter's Day because most people stop, cancel, quit their resolutions on Quitter's Day, the second Friday of the month, the second Friday of the new year. They're done. They quit. That's how fast Americans give up their dream, and that's really, really embarrassing for Americans. But I'm not going to be a quitter. I'm going to keep on going. Now that I understand that I've given myself permission to work out every single day. It's 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be the same thing. It could be lots of different things. I love F3. That's a great way to stay in shape. If I don't get to my F3 workout at 5:30 in the morning, I've got a bike. I can go for a run. I can go to the gym. Lots of ways to get that 45 minutes in. And you got to tire the body out so that your brain doesn't race around as much and you actually can go to sleep at night. That is one of my common problems is staying up too late. So we are approaching the tax season. So I do want to grow my business. I'm super transparent. We are at $1 million in revenue. At least that's how much we had last year. And I want to grow that to $10 million in revenue. I'm afraid to tell my team that because they don't hear the same thing that I hear. When I say 10 million in revenue, what I really mean is helping 10 times more people or solve 10 times more problems as a business. My team hears 10 times larger means that they're gonna have to do 10 times as much work, which is not the truth. If you are bigger, you should have more resources to solve problems and make things simpler. And I'm hoping that as we get larger, we can have specialization for people so they don't have to wear so many hats. I can just think of my team members now. We have 15 team members going into tax season. Part-time and contractors are included in that. And some of my full-time people, they'll do like 6 different things, They'll do tax prep, bookkeeping, payroll. They'll do audits. They'll field questions, tax planning. And it's like crazy. They got to run around trying to figure out all these different things. When we could, if we were big enough, we would be able to specialize and say, you just do this one thing really, really, really well, and it's the thing you like. So that's where we're going. We're eventually going to offer wealth management solutions as well. It's a great complement to tax prep and tax planning because we come up with a tax plan. The tax plan says you should get a 401k or you should get a SEP or some kind of retirement contribution, and that should be that'll be a great tax deduction. Like if you're a business owner making good money, then you can put $69,000 this year. We'll say $70,000 for simplicity in your brain. You can put $70,000 potentially into a retirement account, which is for future use. You can eventually retire comfortably and not worry about finances. But if I tell people that, and what do? Nothing, because they don't have someone to do it. And even if I point to somebody, they might not get connected, or there's so many reasons where that could fail. Whereas I could just say, here's the plan, and you just fill this form out and we'll get you started right away, and you'll save lots of money. Government wants you to do that. I want you to do that. Your family wants you to do that. You want to do it. Everybody wants you to do this. So, but my number one tax deduction, in case you're wondering about tax planning, is give to your local church, because your local church is the hope of the world. And that's where you should be giving, because they're going to have the most impact for the community you live in. And obviously I want you to pick a church that's good and healthy, not one that's a prosperity gospel church. That's not a good place to be. I've been to those, and they're scary. They're scary about their message, saying that everyone's going to prosper, which is ridiculous, because Jesus died on the cross and he's our example. He suffered. We're going to suffer. If we are following Christ, we're going to suffer. And it's just a matter of time if we we're going to suffer. So don't expect to get prosperity if you're following Christ. If you have prosperity, great, but that's not the goal. And Jesus says to give things away, not to hoard them. Don't store your treasures up on earth. Store them in heaven. And we can unpack some parables. Maybe that's part of our agenda. We should talk about, the book that I'm reading, a parable of the week, something like that. I'd love to get feedback about what we can talk about. Definitely want to give a piece to waste haulers, because those are the people I enjoy helping the most, because I understand what you're going through. And when I say waste haulers, I mean residential trash companies, dumpster rental companies, and junk haulers. I should have said them in the opposite order, because it's more like a scaling thing. Like, if you start out with nothing, junk hauling is the easiest thing to get going with, because you can use your muscles, your big muscles, and your truck to junk haul. And then once you get that established, you can start buying some equipment, buy dumpsters, and then those dumpsters can be placed in various locations, and you start one. Some people start with a dump trailer. If you're really serious about it, you'll get like a hook lift truck with hook lift dumpsters, and I definitely recommend hook lift over cable for just, they're so much more maneuverable. And you can get under CDL, you can get 15 and 20 yard dumpsters. I would get 20s. They're the ones that we use the most, because they're big for a residential person, and they're the right size for most contractors, home contractors. 30 yarders are what you're going to need if you're going to get big. And if you want to just get big, you just go to 30s, and then you'll be in a special category on your own. But if you want, jumping around, if you want to go in order, you would go junk hauler, then you would go dumpsters, and you'd just build from, you'd get your first 7. I bought them in 7, bunches of 7 at a time. And then you scale up to get 40, and then that's enough where you can hire a driver to do that. 40 should be enough to support a driver. And then you start your second truck and second dumpsters, and you just keep adding. And then when you get that established, you can add another service. You can go to porta-johns, or you can go to another location, or you can get into residential trash. Now, residential trash is the top, because it's the recurring revenue. Like, it's the most, like, it's going to happen every single week. You're doing the work, so you know exactly what your route's going to be. You can plan it out, and you're getting paid the same amount every month, and it should be going up if you're doing good service. But it's hard to make money at first. You got to be very, very patient. The best people, and I can think of some awesome guys. I'm not going to name you out here, but you guys rock. You guys are rock stars. They bootstrap it, and they take a truck, they fix it themselves, so they have very little money into the truck, and they're just patiently building. But you got to do side hustles and other ways of making money until you get to that point. So that's why I mentioned it last. That's the hardest thing to get established. But once you do, if you get, what's a good number? Like, let's say you have 1,000 routes, or 1,000 stops. 1,000 stops. You're going to be attractive to a larger company, and you could get acquired. It's very, very easy to sell that. You can sell any one of those 3. Junk hauling is going to be the hardest to sell. Dumpster rental it's going to depend on your marketplace, how competitive is the market, and where you bring in the waste. So, but trash hauling is the best type of business to build to sell. You want that recurring revenue. So that's a little bit about that. I do have this belief that most people just don't know what's going on. So hopefully I can help reveal what I think is going on. I was reading Job today because we're doing a study on Job. And it's weird going back and listening to the wisdom of, I don't even know how many years ago, 3,000 years ago maybe? The wisdom of 3,000 years ago, where Job, if you don't know about Job, he's a character in the Bible. He's got a whole book in the Bible. There's 66 books in the Bible, and Job is one of them. And Job says, he's a sufferer. He's a very wealthy person that has a lot going on, very successful in his community, probably the richest man in his community. And he gets struck with horrible circumstances. His businesses get destroyed by mercenaries. His kids get killed. Great winds come and destroy his property. So he loses everything. And then on top of that, he gets stricken with boils, and his skin is covered in rashes, and his body is it's like he has like skin cancer or something. And his wife says, you should just curse God and you should just die. And Job says, why would I accept blessings from God who gave me everything I had, but not accept the cursings from God? Like, why would I not accept bad from God if I'm going to accept the good? I got to accept good and bad. I can't just accept one thing. And his friends come to him, and they, like, for a whole week, they sit with him and they're sad, because it's a horrible scenario. Their buddy had just lost everything, and now he's on death's door, suffering through pain. And they can't even speak for a whole week. Can you imagine just going to see your friend and it's so bad you can't even say anything? You just sit with them and cry for a week. You know, pretty bad. I can't even imagine that, actually. I try, but I can't quite. And then after a week, you start talking to your friend and you say, what did you do to get God to hate you so much? Like, what sin, what evil thing have you been doing that we don't know about? Like, you better tell us, because this is bad. Like, you lost everything. You were doing awesome. Were you involved in some conspiracy, some side hustles? Were you working with crooked politicians and they're taking it out on you? What happened? Have you been having an affair and didn't tell anybody? You know, and it's been a secret. Are you stealing money from people? You know, are you involved in illegal gambling rings? And Job says, no, nothing. I haven't done any of that stuff. I just bad things happen sometimes. And they just won't accept that. That was the wisdom of the time, is that if you're a good person, good things happen to you. And if you're a bad person, bad things happen to you. So Job had bad things happen to him. So he must be bad. He must have done something bad. And that's wasn't acceptable to Job, because he knows he didn't do anything bad. So what is he supposed to tell his friends who don't believe him? And they argue back and forth in a very, very long conversation. And so that's what we're going through right now. Now, I've read the whole story, and there's actually a couple dinosaurs in this story, which is pretty awesome. I love dinosaurs. I think they're cool. They're giant lizards. I think they should just be called dragons, because dragons were what we used to talk about before dinosaurs was ever a word. So I think that they're dragons. And it talks about them because God says to Job, God comes in the story and actually shows up and says, hey, look, Job, you're my servant. I'm God. I can do whatever I want. And I don't have to explain myself to you. Yeah, bad things happen to you. But I had a reason. And you are just a little person. And I'm sorry, but you're not going to understand my ways. My ways are way up here and you're way down here. And it's not because I don't love you and care about you. It's just you're not going to get it. In fact, if you just look at my creation, look at all the cool stuff I do. Like, I made dinosaurs, and look how big these dragons are. They're huge. Like, they'll destroy you. They're so strong that you can't even kill them with spears. And you're terrified of them because they're giant monsters. And those things are my pets. Those are my little pets. They're so cute. To me, they're cute. But to you, they're terrifying monsters. So we're not able to really communicate, because I think those things are awesome and you're afraid of them. So yeah, I can try to explain it to you, but it's not going to work. And so that's actually what God says. I just summarized it in a very horrible, non-perfect way. I'm not a minister or anything like that. And then the story ends with Job getting his health back, and then Job actually builds up his businesses again and builds up his family again, and he actually has more when he gets to the end of his life than he did at the time he lost everything. So it does have a happy ending. Hopefully I didn't ruin it for you in case you've never read it. But that's what we're studying, and I think it's pretty awesome to think about how things have changed. Like, I don't believe for a second that good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. I think quite the opposite happens on a very regular basis, which is that people that are bad have good things happen to them, and people that are good get persecuted and have bad things happen to them. But who really is good? I mean, we all do bad things, even if they're just in our mind, which is what we should be stretching ourselves to understand. It's like, we're not perfect, and I'm not better than anybody else, and I shouldn't put anybody down. So, all right, I'm going to talk about this book a little bit. Buy Back Your Time. So let's dive into it. So Dan Martell, his story is very interesting to me because Dan Martell was a problem child. He grew up in Canada, and he was a problem child. He got involved in drugs early, and he went through this phase where he did a lot of crime. And one time he was actually getting chased by the cops, and the cops were catching up to him, and he got cornered, and they got him to stop his car, and he said, you know what, if it's either them or me. And he had a handgun in his center console, and he went to go grab it, and he said, I guess this is it. Either I'm going to take them out or they're going to take me out. And he went to go grab his gun, and for whatever reason, it got stuck. It got stuck between the seats, and the officers came up to the door, and they arrested him. They disarmed him, and they arrested him, and they put him in jail. And why didn't that gun come out of there? I don't know. But if he pulled that gun out, those officers probably would have shot him dead, and he'd be dead right now. But he lived, and he got to tell his story. And he had a very addictive personality. And somebody saw hope in him and encouraged him. And they were able to set him on a path where he wasn't trying to throw his life away anymore by being reckless. And he got into computer programming. He got a book that he just came across the book, and he read it, and he could understand what it was saying about how to do computer programming, and he thought it was cool. So he decided, hey, I'm going to give this a shot, and he taught himself how to write computer code. And luckily for him, that's a really high leverage skill. It's a very valuable skill, and he was able to pick it up. There's several very high level skills: influencing people, sales, content creation, and so marketing, sales, computer coding, and I guess fundraising. Those are very money management. Those are very high leverage skills. There's other skills that are not that high leverage. Like if you're good at baking, like that's awesome, but that's not really a high level leverage skill. You're not going to be able to bake pies to change the world. At least it'll take you a lot of pies. Whereas if you write some really good code, that code can be used to create a technology that millions of people use. That's what we're actually using right now. As we communicate via media. So he learned that skill, and he built. So he had a hard time learning how to build companies, and it was very, very frustrating. And he worked a million hours, but he eventually built a big company, and he was able to sell it. So why am I telling you that part of the story? Just to give you context about who he was. He was a real person. He didn't start with a lot. He started with negative, and he was able to build something. I'm looking for the table of contents just to give me. Let me explain some things. So he's got a lot of hacks and tips and tricks. What I will say is that most people waste their time. Then that's pretty much all they do. They just waste their time, and that's sad. So as an entrepreneur, you have to use your time wisely. Otherwise, you'll just die. And most business owners don't use their time well. I struggle. I also don't use my time well. I'm trying to get better about it. And what you want to do is high level work. So as a business owner, as any person, you want to do things that are very valuable. And when you first start out, you start out by doing low value things typically, like moving things from here to there. like doing the dishes, doing admin work, checking emails. That stuff is very low value. And what I mean is, no, it doesn't help anyone's life get better. And so it's low value. And you want to do things that do high value things. So if I'm able to show somebody a solution to a problem that's keeping them up at night, that's high value. If I can do that 1,000 times in a day through leveraging collaboration or one-to-many or equipment or content or computer code, then that's going to be way more valuable. Like for example, if you knew how to do a skill and you record the skill, like how to do something, how to solve a problem, like how to invest money into the stock market, like how do you do that, and you learn how to do that skill, that's going to be valuable for the rest of your life, and it's not going to be taken away from you. Just like Martha and Mary, Jesus talks to them, and Martha's like running all over the kitchen trying to prepare food, and Martha gets mad at Mary because Mary is not helping. Mary's listening to Jesus talk, and Martha says to Jesus, "Hey, you better tell Mary to help me because we got all these chores to do, and she's not being a good person." And Jesus says, "You're the one that's missing the boat. Mary's doing the right thing because what she's learning will never be taken away from her. Once you've learned a skill, it's yours forever. Like no one can steal it from you. Like people can steal all my stuff, but they can't steal my knowledge. They can't steal my wisdom. And listening to God is going to be the best way to gain wisdom." Alrighty? So you want to buy back your time. And he talks about the replacement ladder. The first time you need to buy back are the lowest value tasks because they're the ones that are the cheapest to sell. So that would be like answering emails, receiving emails, answering phone calls. Like I don't need to do that stuff because I'm working on building something bigger, or strategic planning, or training my team, coaching clients, coaching teammates, that kind of thing. So that was a really good thing. And what I really learned from it was, and there's a lot of review videos, but and the concept makes sense just on the surface. Like if you hire people to do things, then you free up your time, and then you take that time to do higher value things. Now, how do you get people to do stuff? He talked about the camcorder method. Like first I have to learn the skill, then I record myself doing it. And he says record it 3 times because that should be enough for you to capture all the nuances of how you do something, hopefully. And then you share that camcorder, that recording, with whoever you're training, and then they can do it at the same level you can. You probably also need written protocol. So we're working on this. We have written protocol, but we don't really have camcorder method yet. So that's something we need to improve. But if you hire someone, train them how you've been doing it, then that'll free you up so you can do higher level things. Not so that you can have a 4-hour work week and retire early and get mailbox money. Like if that's what you want to do, then you're missing the boat. Like that's not the point of life. Is not to sit on a beach or to be retired playing golf. Like that's not the point of life. I never want to retire because I think that if you stop working and you go into vacation mode forever, you're just gonna wither away and die, and that's not what you want. So maybe some people should just never even try to get to retirement. I think you should try to get financially independent so that you can pursue what you think God's calling you to. Because if you're financially hindered, then you make compromises on what you think is the right thing to do. So, all right, so that's Dan Martell. Really appreciate his book. He's a great guy. He's a little bit egotistical, and that's okay. You just got to know that about him. Everyone's got their flaws, right? If he was going to list off his flaws, I don't know if he would say that that's his flaw. He would say it's like he likes sugary food or something. But that's definitely his flaw. He likes big things and lots of money. I personally have a really hard time adopting someone's life philosophy if it doesn't align with Christ's philosophy. And Jesus wouldn't have had a second home. Jesus didn't even have a first home, let alone a second home or a boat or 28 cars or anything like that. So I really think that if you do well, it's okay to be comfortable so that you can focus on serving instead of trying to meet your needs all the time. But you don't need big toys. Like if you have big toys and that's your goal is to get more toys and to not pay the government and to not give it to charity, then you're kind of wasting your life living for yourself. And I think you should focus more on giving it to other people, and you'll be amazed at how happy you are. So I really should wrap this up. It's been 30 minutes. I will make an announcement that I'm going to go see Skillet in concert. Oh, I should tell you about other things I'm doing. I'm very, I didn't tell you about my other goal. That was silly. I'm very excited about this year. I've never shot a deer before, so I'm going to do that this year. My plumber buddy told me that I should get a 308 rifle and use that to go hunting with, get a scope, and so that's my plan. I'm going to do that. So I did sign up to join. I am part of a clay shooting club now, so I can practice shooting more, because it's hard to be good unless you practice. So I don't want to sit out in the woods waiting for a deer and then my aim sucks, or I'm nervous, or not really used to handling a gun recently. So that's one thing I'm doing. And I also want to be a good mentor for my kids. I want to raise them up the way Christ would. So taking them to church is a big part of that. Don't miss church. Just don't miss church. And then I want to love my wife in a good way, as a husband should, and care for her and guard her and make sure that she's enjoying life. I'm bringing things to her that allow that to happen. So we went on a date night last night. It was great. We saw Bob Smiley. He was really funny. He was really good. And he had an opener. His name's Chris. And I didn't get Chris's last name, so I'm sad about that, because I really want to follow Chris on Instagram. So that's what's going on. All right. Well, this has been Michael with Buffalo Finances. Thank you for listening to me ramble, and I hope you have a great day. I will see you in the future.